time for the Fantasy Feud.
Let's go! Welcome back, everyone, to another season of the Fantasy Feud. I'm your host, Marco Balsamo. With me today, as always, my best friend for life, Joey Zoll.
Hey, dude, you named your son after me. Well, that's huge. I was hibernating, and then I woke up from my cave, and then I saw that you had named your son. His middle name, Joseph.
I did. Middle name is Joseph, after Joey Zoll here. And my least favorite brother, Alex Balsamo. Alex.
Least favorite brother? It's a bit harsh.
There's a lot.
You named me godfather of your first son. That's got to say something, right?
It was your turn.
Well, anyways, I'm back, and I am
turn. It was the first
super excited for It was also my turn to be your best man, and I didn't get that one. So I guess we're just going out of order here.
You know? For everybody, I just had a newborn son. Came five weeks early, literally 2 days ago.
Choked up there, Tom.
Yeah, I'm just crying. All right. 5 weeks early, came 2 days ago, and I did give his middle name is Joseph after Joey Zoll, of course. That's what his name, but his first name is Massimo. He is in the NICU right now, but he's doing well, doing great. So I just want to keep everybody updated. I know everybody's asking already out there. How he's doing. So, but let's get right into this, guys. It's been a while. We're glad to be back. We disappeared on you in the middle of the season. Not the middle. We finished out the fantasy season last year, but we didn't feel we did a good job wrapping up, giving our fans what they deserved, some closure, right? Some expectations for the next season. We apologize for that, but we're back and we're better than ever. We're ready to roll. We recruited some new team members. We're good to go. You guys hyped? You guys ready for this new season?
I'm excited to have our team members here. Honestly, that was the hardest part, was doing the podcast, keeping up to date with everything, and figuring out what the fuck to post daily.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to have Instagram posts all the time without us having to worry about it. We could do what we do best and just, record and actually enjoy the podcast. So, going to be a good season. We're hyped. We're ready. But let's get right on into this first episode for everybody. Today we got the rookies coming up, the NFL draft. Tonight is the NFL draft. And we are going to be talking about the top 12 or so. Maybe not from a fantasy perspective in general, but top 12 most hyped up rookies. Where we expect
but only
them to
not
land.
like, we're not going like Sinead Powell, where it's just going like fantasy relevant guys. So pretty much not from a fantasy
you're right.
perspective.
When I said not top 12 fantasy, I meant like I don't expect Mac Jones to be a top 12 fantasy player. So,
yeah.
But he's a top 12.
Don't sleep on the Mac.
Fantasy
Don't sleep on the Mac.
So we're talking about the skill players today. We're going to say where we expect them to land and where we would prefer them to land, and give you a little bit of insight of what we think that fantasy perspective will look like going forward. So, you guys ready to roll? Hop right on into it?
I am super ready.
Let's do it. Starting off, number one, right out the gate, Trevor Lawrence. Where do you guys expect Trevor Lawrence to land?
I expect him to land one. Alex, do you want to do this? This is kind of like your adversary.
Wait. I'm sorry. I gotta add one more thing. I forgot to tell everybody. You guys know us. We love to bet. That's what we do on this show. We argue, we bet. So we got a little bit of a bet starting off with our first episode here. For these 12 players, we're each gonna lock in where we expect them to go. Whoever on draft night gets the least amount right has to be punished in some way, shape, or form. A realistic punishment, but entertaining one for all of us. We're trying to figure out what that is. So we'll ask you guys, hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on Twitter, whatever it might be. We'll post some things on there to ask around, but we need help figuring out what this punishment should be going forward.
We need a lot of help. We're pretty silent coming up with any suggestions in the beginning, too. So we need a ton of help, guys.
We are not very creative. We just talk fantasy football. That's all we do. All right, now back to it, Alex. Sorry, go ahead. Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, I'm not going to go and do anything crazy here. It has to be Trevor Lawrence, number one to the Jaguars. And I'm excited for it, too. I think he's going to be great there with Urban Meyer as head coach. It's just a new culture in Jacksonville, something they've needed and something that we'll see how it plays out. But I think and believe that Trevor Lawrence is the real deal, and he's everything that he's hyped up to be. And I think he's going to ball out in his first season in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm locking in Trevor Lawrence to the Jags. I just wrote a small check caption for us on Instagram for everybody. I really do think Trevor Lawrence is going to succeed right away. One of the best prospects that we've seen come out at the QB position since Andrew Luck. And with that, I think you're going to see a lot of rise in the stock of other Jaguars. And it's time right now, if you haven't already, invest. Go get DJ Shark, somebody we loved last year, somebody who failed to meet expectations last year, but really just he didn't get the opportunity enough. I think he's going to shoot up. Laviska Shenault, another really good one.
James Robinson.
James Robinson, if you can, but he had a great season last year. But I think James Robinson comes back. If there are any doubters who own him who think that he's not going to continue it, I think he does. So that whole Jaguars offense is going to be great, especially with the combination of their defense being terrible. They're going to have to keep scoring points. So I love Trevor Lawrence. I think he is going to go to Jags, and I actually like him for the Jags. Joey?
Yeah, I mean, I like Trevor Lawrence. I mean, like, he's a great prospect. He's big. He's like 6'6". I mean,
it's crazy.
I'm not gonna be a stickler. I just wish he'd get a haircut. He really does have pretty bad long hair. It's flat.
I'm not gonna disagree.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, man. Like, what are you, 23, 24 now? Like, let's get a haircut. You want to be the change you want to see in the world. So, I mean, at the end of the day, he's gonna be fine. I just don't see the Andrew Luck arm. I don't see the Andrew Luck accuracy. I mean, like, you look at some of those Clemson games, he throws to a lot of receivers in areas where they have to jump up and then get hit. Like, you can't do that in the NFL. You're going to get a lot of more injuries for your guys there. So he's great. I mean, I'm just nitpicking at this point. He's the number one pick, and it's not close. But it's just, I don't think he's, like, I mean, he's not as safe as Andrew Luck.
I'm not saying he's Andrew Luck, but I do think since then, right, he's the best one since.
In terms of quarterback, at least, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, quarterback, yeah, specifically.
I mean, the quarterbacks from 2015, I saw the stat the other day, quarterbacks from 2015 to 2019 are either not on a team at all or traded from the team that originally drafted them. That's including, obviously, the 1 and 2 picks like Carson Wentz, like Jameis Winston. So, yeah, since Andrew Luck, this is the best we've seen.
Yeah, and Urban Meyer is going to be a sick offensive coach. Like, that'll
Absolutely.
be fun. I think they'll have, like, a lot of cool college type plays. So yeah, he'll be great in fantasy. I think I would use him as my redraft quarterback, but I would want a safer guy too. I just know he's going to have his rookie down weeks too. Like, he might get you some negative points on like a 3 interception day.
Agreed. Yeah, he'll be usable this year. But let's move on. We don't have to talk too much about him. Everybody knows what they're expecting from Trevor Lawrence. A more polarizing prospect here, Justin Fields. I'm interested.
Oh, come on. No. I'm going to have to just override. We're going to go to Zach Wilson and just keep this in order. It's earned.
I wanted to go Justin Fields. Instead, we're going to go, all right, fine. All right,
we're going to go earned
Let's go with the
positioning.
back-to-back knowing where we're going then. Zach Wilson, I'll start. Zach Wilson to the Jets. I like Zach Wilson to the Jets. I actually do. As much as everybody thinks you go to the Jets, it's where you die, and he's not going to be fantasy relevant. I don't agree with that. I like the weapons they have in New York. I love Corey Davis. I love Denzel Mims. I've always loved Crowder. I do think that the Jets actually can turn around with Zach Wilson, but Joey, I'll let you talk more because I know you have things to say.
I like Zach Wilson. I didn't like him during the season because I just didn't like the competition he was facing. I remember me and Alex were texting back and forth during that Coastal Carolina game, and I was telling him I don't like Zach Wilson, but like the more I watch film, the more I stop seeing his face as much and just see him behind the helmet. He just looks like a punk kind of kid, but
he's like Drew Lock.
Drew Lock's
a punk kind of kid.
Hold on.
Drew Lock's an awkward
is
punk.
not as cool as I was gonna say he's not as cool as Zach Wilson. Zach
They're
Wilson
very
is
similar
cooler.
looking though. If you look at them
He's
side
way
by
cooler.
side.
Zach
got
Wilson's,
similar hair.
He's got that like Aaron Rodgers type vibe about him where it's like
Yeah.
it works. I see someone successful who's got that kind of punk attitude and it's like gone into years and years of success. And Zach Wilson throws on the run. You look at every quarterback right now who's killing it, like Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, all like Aaron Rodgers again. It's those quarterbacks just throw on the run, and that Zach Wilson's the best at it in the draft, and that's huge right now.
Would you say he's the poor man's Pat Mahomes?
No, I would not. I think he doesn't have. He's got a cannon for sure, but he doesn't have that kind of cannon. I say he's the poor man's Aaron Rodgers.
I agree with Joey. As far as the Aaron Rodgers comparison goes, as a poor version, I agree with that too. I've been a big, a couple more pours after that. But I've been a big fan of Zach Wilson for a while now, and I still am. I think the thing with the Jets and saying that's where QBs go to die has been about coaching for the past 10 years. And as much as Robert Saleh is more of a defensive-minded coach, I think he's going to bring in I'm sure he already has. I don't know exactly who the coordinators are. But he's going to bring in the right guys around him to turn around that Jets team as a whole. He was with Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers, and he's obviously a great coach. So I fully believe that Zach Wilson can turn around that Jets offense, like Marco said, with those weapons. And I think he's going to succeed in New York.
So everybody's locking him in. Jets are taking Zach Wilson. We all agree. And we all like Zach Wilson to the Jets. It's not somebody else that you'd rather have been taking him.
Nope. No, it's him.
All right. Then now let's move on to a more polarizing prospect and talk Justin Fields. I don't know. Where do you guys think he's going to be landing? We have with us right now, he's shaking his head, our newest team member, our social media manager, Tom here, who is a 49ers fan, wondering if he's going to the 49ers or not. We'll see. But Alex, start us off. I want to hear, where do you think Justin Fields does land, and where would you like to see Justin Fields land?
Well, to start off, I'm going to say to Tom right now, straight up, I don't think Tom has a thing to worry about. And what does he not have a thing to worry about? He doesn't have a thing to worry about because the 49ers are not going to be taking Justin Fields at 3. First of all, I don't think Justin Fields is going to live up to the hype. I've said it for weeks. I mean, it's not just the Ohio State quarterback thing. It's just Justin Fields, I don't think he has what it takes to bring it to the next level. So if we're going back to what our bets are, I would say I see Justin Fields dropping to 9 and the Broncos making him move for Justin Fields. Where do I want to see Justin Fields end up? I don't know exactly. I want to see him on the Niners because I don't think Kyle Shanahan is the type of coach that's going to bring a Justin Fields in and make him, what he should be. I would like to see Justin Fields end up on the Falcons. I feel like Justin Fields in that offense with Julio Jones, if he's sticking around, and Calvin Ridley, I just think that's a recipe for success no matter how much I don't believe in Justin Fields. So that's my opinion on Fields.
Yeah,
the Falcons.
Exciting.
Yeah, it'd be exciting offense to watch, definitely.
Yeah, it's super exciting, man.
Right, so it is exciting. How's it not exciting?
I think you're underselling Justin Fields a lot. I think Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence were like the two top prospects when they were getting like not drafted, when they were getting recruited. So he's not taking much of a step back. He's got change of systems, change of college. Like the Matt Fromm decision over Justin Fields was a ridiculous one, and it still looks ridiculous. Or I'm sorry, Jake Fromm. But anyway, I'm a fan of Justin Fields. I think it's a no-brainer to go to San Fran. If you're choosing between him, Trey Lance, and Mac, I mean, Fat Mac is not somebody that I would really put a third-round pick in. Justin Fields at least takes care of his body.
Joey, are you saying the Niners should take Justin Fields, or are you saying you think the Niners will take Justin Fields?
Should, would, could.
Whatever
doesn't answer the question.
Whatever
should you should take him.
So not will.
They will take him. That's my guess.
Words.
That's if I had to pick a team. That's it. Should, could, would. I hope that answers all your questions.
Is that where you want him to land?
It answers everything. Sounds like you want him to go to the Niners as well. Right?
Yeah, I just think that we're overthinking it if we're going to move him down the board under Mac, under Trey Lance. We're just overthinking it. He's the best prospect of the three. He's got accuracy. He's great on his second and third reads. I saw some stat about how he was the best quarterback on his second and third reads for all of last year, which is like huge. That's the knock against him, is that he can't go through progressions, but like there's a freaking stat right there to prove everything we're wrong.
No, you're not wrong. So I'm someone who believes there are actually truly 5 QBs in this draft that all can be good starting QBs in the NFL. I really think all 5 of these QBs can be successful in the NFL. I'm going to say I think Justin Fields does it land on the Broncos. I'm with Alex. I don't think he falls to 9. I think the Broncos trade up and get to 4, where the Falcons are, and make sure that they get a QB because it's what they're missing in their offense. So I do think that they go ahead and make sure that they get there. I do think that whether it's not, that doesn't matter whether they trade up or not. I do think that he ends up on the Broncos, and I would love to see him on the Broncos because I do think he'll be successful. He's not my number 3 QB overall, but I do think he'll be successful regardless. I think he'll be a good QB in the NFL. And, I mean, you want to talk about, you said the Falcons, I'd love to see him on that offense with those weapons. You want to talk about weapons. I mean, you got Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Noah Fant, and Melvin Gordon in the back. It's an absurd group of weapons in that offense, and they would be wasting it to keep waiting and see if Drew Lock is the guy. And he might be. I'm not saying, you guys, everybody knows last year I was a Drew Lock believer, right?
Yeah,
I'm admitting that. I'm admitting that. I was a Drew Lock believer, and he looked terrible last year. But he still might be, but you can't wait. You have the weapons now, and they're young weapons, but you got to build somebody as that centerpiece. I don't think they go ahead and wait. I think they go ahead and make sure they get the right guy, and I think it's going to be Justin Fields. So I think that's where he lands. But let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, let's move on. Before we pick the guy's name, I want you guys on 3, 2, 1 to tell me who you think the 49ers are going to take, and that's who we're going with. I want to get into who you guys think the 49ers take.
Because yours is Justin Fields. All right, so me and Alex will give our
3,
take.
2, 1, boys go.
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Oh,
100%.
I was gonna say Lance, if anything. Fat Mac. Let's get into it.
I'll start. If it was
sympathize with weight.
Did you just say that to me? Go fuck yourself.
Joey's gonna get his canceled for
resonate that.
I was thinking my thoughts. I was trying to.
The words were coming out a little slower.
I was trying to go into my
the
monologue.
insult was hitting you.
I was trying to go into my monologue, and you fucking hit me with a fat joke, you piece of shit. But all right, anyway, so.
Where was I?
I personally think the right choice is Trey Lance. I would like to see them take Trey Lance. I have where I want Trey Lance to end up being on the 49ers. But there's a lot of confusion coming out of that organization right now. I don't know what to believe. They're saying that Kyle Shanahan's saying they traded up without really knowing who they even wanted. Now they're saying there's 5 guys. They had 1 guy in mind, but there's 5 guys they like. Who the fuck knows? It could be smoke and mirrors, but I don't understand why you ever would have smoke and mirrors at that point. You traded up. You know who 1 and 2 are. There's nothing left to have smoke and mirrors about. There's nobody to trick. You're tricking yourself. That's it. So I really do think there might be a good chance that they traded up for Mac Jones, and they're getting the shit for trading up for Mac Jones, and now they're trying to cover their ass a little bit and talk about how there's different options and they're still debating and all this stuff. It doesn't make sense, but I think that might be what's going on. I don't think it's a terrible pick. I think Mac Jones is the most accurate passer in this group. I think he can be extremely successful in a Kyle Shanahan offense. I think he's had pocket passers. I know he's had pocket passers his entire career. And yes, the team itself might be more built for a mobile RPO type passer instead of a pocket passer, which is why I would like to see Trey Lance. But it doesn't matter. I think they actually went for Mac Jones because they knew that's their guy, and I really do think he ends up there. So I'm locking it in. Mac Jones to the Niners.
I mean, Marco, I'm 100% with you. Tom asked me, like we said earlier, Tom's a 49ers fan. He asked me a couple of weeks ago what my thoughts on Mac Jones were. And what I said is that Mac Jones is a system quarterback. It's what he is. He sits in the pocket. He makes the right plays. He makes the right reads. He makes the right throws, and he makes them well. That's what he does. So Kyle Shanahan, like he did with Matt Ryan, he made Matt Ryan a superstar that year. He was in the MVP conversation that year. And that Matt Ryan's not the same exact quarterback as Mac Jones, but they're pretty similar. So I think that's what Kyle Shanahan's system is around. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is like a poor man's version of Mac Jones. It's kind of funny when you think about it, but Jimmy Garoppolo just sucks. So that's why he hasn't succeeded in that system.
Jimmy Garoppolo's in the NFL. Nobody in the NFL is a poor man's version of a college
we're going to do this.
recruit.
I mean, the stupidest argument in the entire world. That's like saying the
Jimmy Garoppolo
15th
just can't
guy
stay
on the
healthy.
bench of the NBA. I can't say he sucks because he is in the NBA. Yeah, he's better than me,
I'm not
but
going
he
to say
still
he's
sucks.
he's better than you, and he's better than Mac Jones. He's already
No,
played
he's
in the
not.
NFL. He's experienced it. Yes, he
Listen,
is.
this
He's
is a
better than
dumb.
Mac
he's
Jones.
not.
This is a dumb argument. It doesn't matter which one's better. All I was gonna say is Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't suck. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. The Niners offense has moved extremely well.
He does kind of suck.
He does
in
kind
the
of suck.
offense. I don't agree with that.
I walk
he
a
just hasn't
fine
been able to
line
stay
with my
healthy.
opinions.
He can't stay healthy. All right. Regardless, I do want to. Speaking on all that, I do want to highlight one thing, like with Mac Jones, because he's getting so much hate. Going back and looking at the film, you look at the highlights for Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris. Right, you're going through and you're looking at all those highlights.
Mac moves to the place.
Mac puts it on the money in every single highlight, and it's not that these guys aren't great. Right, they're great. They're going ahead and they're making plays. They're amazing. You can see it on the film, but there's a difference between looking at Kyle Pitts' highlights and you look at Kyle Pitts' highlights and he's making plays, but he has to go out of his way to go low, go high, and pick it off where Kyle Trask put it too far off, right? Like Mac Jones is putting it on the money every single one of these plays. So he really is incredibly accurate. And if you're incredibly accurate and you make good decisions, you can be a good QB in the NFL. You can be a great QB in the NFL. I know it's a mobile game now, but you don't have to do that. So I do think he'll find success. Tom, be happy, be excited if they take Mac Jones. It'll work out. Joey,
Mac Jones.
Where do you
Mac-
let go ahead, Alex.
Real quick, the last thing I wanted to say, Mac Jones is his pro comp is Joe Burrow. And I mean, you watch these two quarterbacks back-to-back years lead two of the best college offenses in the past 10 years. So yeah, they had Devonta Smith, Najee Harris, Jalen Waddle, and Burrow had Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, they had great options, but these guys still put the ball, like Marco said, on the money every time. They put it where it had to be. I mean, Mac Jones threw 45 touchdowns in 16 games. That's not something that every Alabama quarterback or any other quarterback in the SEC does. That's very impressive.
The entire SEC defenses were awful this year. Like, name me one SEC defense that was, like, anywhere near the last couple of years. They had no offseason to practice. Everybody was balling out in college football this year. Overs
Alabama
were hitting like crazy. So many points.
But you can see it on film, Joey. Like you can,
I can see it on film for sure. Dude, I mean, he's a 3-star recruit. Like as of 4 years ago, he was like the number 52 prospect coming out of Florida. That's not usually somebody who ends up on Alabama having success, and props to him for doing it. But I'm just gonna say, I just think that you look at what Justin Fields can do, and you look at what Mac Jones can do. I think that you can, if you think Kyle Shanahan is the coach you think he is, and I think he's a great coach, I just think he outsmarts himself sometimes. I just think that he can, like, you have such a better molding ability with Justin Fields than you do with Mac Jones. Mac Jones' ceiling is very low.
So where do you expect Mac Jones to end up?
Honestly, I don't expect him to go in like the top 10, top 15. I could see the Steelers drafting him and backing up Big Ben until Big Ben retires. I think that would be the best landing spot for Mac Jones.
Is that where you're predicting though? Lock it in for the bet.
Yeah, that's what I'm predicting. I think they're going back up. They're going to back up quarterback first round.
Well, there's an easy point for me and Marco.
You think he drops that far? The whole
I don't even know that the
conversation
Steelers have a pick. I just think that they're going to end up with him.
You're a
24.
Steelers fan and you don't
24.
know where their pick is. All right, sounds good.
Well, the Minka Fitzpatrick thing last year, we just like didn't have any picks, so I didn't even pay attention.
Yeah.
Now I'm like back in the groove.
All right, let's wrap it up, or wrap up the QBs. Excuse me.
Yeah, all right, later, guys.
I want to go. I want to go with Trey
done.
Lance.
Have good. First episode's over. Trey Lance. Who wants to start?
I'll take it. I'll take
Alex,
it.
go ahead.
I texted the guys earlier today. I said I had a hot take coming, and this is it. I think that Trey Lance ends up being the best quarterback in this entire draft. I love Trey Lance. I love watching him play. He fits the prototypical NFL quarterback mold of today. Right, he runs a lot and he can do it well. He's tough when he runs too. He's not just a quick guy, and he can still throw the ball too. I mean, he threw 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions last year as a 19-year-old. He's only 20 years old, by the way, going into this draft. And in the FCS championship last year against James Madison, the best defense in that conference. Not that conference is anything special.
Big praise.
Not anything special.
James
Don't get me
Madison.
wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Impressive.
Against Ben DiNucci, He
Yeah.
rushed for 166 yards. I mean, he's not just a rusher when the pocket breaks down. You can draw up plays for this guy to rush. So I have him landing on the Patriots, and that's where I want him to land. And I think that Bill is going to make Trey Lance the best quarterback to come out of this draft.
I'm with you. I would love to see him on the Patriots. I think that's the best landing spot. Like, give Cam Newton another year or so. Let Trey Lance get used to, like, NFL speed and stuff. But I think Patriots for Trey Lance, and I'm with you. I love him. I think that we loved him last year. He was, like, pretty much the number one QB as of last year for this draft. And obviously, not number one because Trevor Lawrence still was. But everybody else kind of shuffled around. I think Trey Lance is the guy that we thought he was. I think he's still better than Mac Jones.
And Cam Newton's a great guy to learn behind, by the way, for that 1 year.
So you're predicting Patriots as well, Joey?
Yeah, predicting Patriots.
So I actually agree. It's not that hot of a take, Alex, because I agree with you. I think if there's one guy who I think could end up being better than Trevor Lawrence down the road, it's Trey Lance. Could be a total bust, but he has the potential. I think he has the most potential.
So you think that he's
here.
going to be better than both Mac Jones and Zach Wilson, who you just slotted to drafted ahead of him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the reality
I think he's
is
better.
The reality
and I also
is,
think these two.
I'm not the
GMs
one
are very
drafting.
dumb.
Am I?
hold on. Yeah, exactly. I'm not the one drafting. I'm telling you what I think is going to happen. I said when I said Mac Jones is going to the Niners that I think they should take Lance. So if I'd said where I want Lance to go would be the Niners. I think they should take Lance. I definitely think he should be going there over Mac Jones, as much as I like Mac Jones. But I just don't think that's going to be what happens.
Yeah, I get
Where
you now.
I am going to predict him going, though, is actually higher than both of you. I think the Falcons end up taking Trey Lance. I can't see how this could play out in a way where the Falcons are sitting there at 4 and 3 QBs have gone off the board in front of them, and Trey Lance is sitting there, right? And granted, if I was wrong about the Mac Jones prediction and Trey Lance goes to the 49ers, then I don't think the Falcons are going to be so quick
You
to
don't think
jump
the
on Mac
Falcons are going
Jones.
to take Lance after?
No, I'm saying I don't think they'll be so quick to jump on a QB. But if Trey Lance is sitting there, right? If Trey Lance is sitting there with all of his upside, with the fact that they still have Matt Ryan, they can have Matt Ryan for a couple more years. He can still develop because that's what he is. He's the most developmental out of these 5 QBs. I don't see how they could pass up on them, especially if they're saying that they're going to be moving on from Julio. Right, they're looking toward the future. They're not trying to compete today. If they're willing to get rid of Julio, then they're not trying to compete today. So why not get a super talented QB who needs a couple years to potentially progress? I think it makes perfect sense, especially sitting at 4. If they don't, they're gonna be trading out of that pick. It doesn't make sense to pick somebody. I see a lot of Kyle Pitts going to the Falcons. You guys might have him once we talk about Kyle Pitts. I love Kyle Pitts, but I think that's silly. Either trade back at that point or take a QB.
Yeah.
But
Are you saying that you want Lance to go to the Falcons?
no, I want Lance to go to the Niners. If I'm saying where I ideally would want him to go, it's the Niners. Falcons are a great second. I'm not against that, but I want him to go to the Niners. I am predicting on paper right now for the bet that he goes to the Falcons.
Well, here's the thing for me. You said that the Falcons would be a great second option for Lance to go, and you wouldn't mind that at all. The problem for me is that like you said, Matt Ryan's going to be there for a few more years, right? And I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, is what we've seen with the recent quarterbacks is that they need to play right away. They need to start right away. No, because if they're sitting on the bench a year, 2 years, even 3 years, which could be the case with Lance.
Who's the best
forget
QB in the
about him.
NFL right now? Who's the best QB in the NFL right now?
Patrick
Mahomes, he sat for 15
sat on the bench
games.
for the first
15
year.
games.
15
Come
games
on.
is a season.
No one forgot
a
about
season
him.
is a season is.
You're asking for 2 years for sitting of Trey Lance. We're going to be over him at the time. We're going to be drafting a new
Listen,
guy.
all
You
I'm,
gotta sell
all I'm
jerseys,
saying,
baby.
all I'm saying is you can't say just because the majority of the successful, of course, the majority of successful QBs are going to be starting right away, but you can't. What QBs have had that opportunity to sit, develop, and go out? Give me somebody who.
But
did
that's not
that
the
and
way
failed.
anymore. That's not the way of the NFL anymore.
who did
Quarterbacks
it
don't
and failed?
sit. Well, I mean,
You know, the
I'm
people
just
that-
saying.
the
You
people
see,
that
like
come to
Technically,
mind-
Mason Rudolph. I don't know. It's like it's tough to say who failed.
Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, but like it's tough to say who failed because you
who's a
draft
first round
these
QB?
like.
Who's a first round QB?
I guess Jimmy
that-
Garoppolo failed.
Daniel Jones failed.
Daniel Jones, come on.
He sat for a year behind Eli.
We don't know that.
Yes, he did.
We don't know that yet that he failed. I think we'll have to talk about Daniel Jones right now. We'll talk about Daniel Jones later. I think he's going to be successful. But my point is, Daniel Jones might be the only person you can name that's in that group. I think when I think of this, I think of Pat Mahomes sitting and developing behind Alex Smith. I think of Aaron Rodgers sitting and developing behind Brett Favre
26 years ago.
Yes, of course. But my point is, it's not often that they do this, right? It's not often that you spend a first-round pick on a QB, then take the time to develop them first. I don't think you could just say it doesn't work. Like, we've probably seen it work more than we've seen it. Oh, God.
Dude, these are
not
all
first
quarterbacks.
You can find a lot
These
more.
are all quarterbacks we were excited about pre-draft, and they get drafted behind, and they're not
QBs,
fun.
Not
Oh, there's not that much difference between the late first, early second. Didn't Paxton Lynch go 19th?
My point is, you don't want them to sit.
Fourth overall, Joey. I'm not saying he's a late first.
You don't want them to sit. Herbert was about to sit. Imagine if Tyrod didn't get his lung punctured. Herbert would have sat for a year and ruined all of that.
Christian Hackenberg.
Hackenberg.
Let's move on. This is a ridiculous argument. This is such bullshit. All right, let's go. You guys want to go running backs or wide receivers next?
Running backs.
Running backs.
Running backs it is. All right, starting off with the obvious consensus number one, for most people at least, Najee Harris, the Alabama boy. So Alex, I'll let you take the reins.
I love Najee Harris. I love Najee Harris more than most people, and most people love him. I think he's going to be a beast straight out of the gate. I think he's going to be starting running back. Where do I see him landing? Is exactly where I want him to land. I see him landing on the Steelers, and that's where I want him to land, is on the Steelers, because that'd be perfect. I mean, you come in, you have obviously the wide receiver core already. You have Ben, who's done well. He did well last year, even for his age and his injuries. And that's where I want to see him land, because he is just a bell cow running back. He caught 43 passes last year, right up there with Etienne, who's known as more of a pass catcher than Harris is. So he can do it all. He's a 3-down back. I'm not even going to say it. He's built like Derrick Henry, not as big, but he's built like Derrick Henry, but he pass catches way better than Derrick Henry does. So if you can combine those two and maybe not even be as good of a runner as Derrick Henry is, but still have that pass catching ability, I think it's the making for a great running back.
I'm with you. I mean, he's unbelievable. Don't overthink it. He's the best running back in the draft by far. I think he's destined for huge things in a starting job.
Where do you predict him going, Joey?
Cardinals. 16 at the Cardinals.
16 at Cardinals. That's a good spot. I agree. I'm not even gonna. So I really wanted to be different. I really wanted to be that guy and be like, nah, it's Travis Etienne. Like Etienne's better than Harris, and I tried so hard to be that guy, and I went
Sometimes
back and
things
I watched,
just aren't true.
It's just not true. Like, he's just not as good. He's great. He's elite. I love Etienne as well, but Harris is just amazing in every aspect of the game. I went back and watched every clip I could of both of these guys, and there's nowhere near the excitement I get watching Etienne as I do watching Harris. So I have him. I think Alex, Steelers is a great landing spot. I would love to see him on the Steelers. I don't think he makes it there. I think he'll land on Miami. I'm locking him in as Miami for my pick, which would be a great landing spot as well. Every Joe Schmo running back that was in the backfield for Miami last year went absolutely off every single game.
Yeah.
They have
Two
a great
different
line.
Washington running backs went ham.
Exactly.
That's all you know.
Unbelievable. I can't even name the names of everybody. Ahmed,
Myles Gaskin,
Salvo, I don't even Gaskins, some other people that I can't even figure out. But they all destroyed it. I would prefer he ends
except
up
Matt
on
Breida.
Joey's.
Except Matt
Breida. I would prefer, if I was picking where I wanted him to land from a fantasy perspective, though, as much as I do think Miami's a great landing spot, I go with yours, Joey. I'd like to see him in Arizona, just because I'd like to see that whole offense. I'd love to see him with Kyler.
Oh, it'd be insane.
Hopkins,
it would be insane.
I agree. I agree with the Dolphins pick, Marco, because I went back and forth from the Steelers to the Dolphins to Steelers to Dolphins. Only reason I didn't do Dolphins is because I have Dolphins going wide receiver, position player, early in the draft, earlier up at 6. So I didn't think they.
We'll get to that.
I know. We'll get to that. I'm not going to name who, but I think that they're not going to go 2 offensive players at once. But Najee Harris, just to finish Najee Harris up real quick, the dude can do it all. He can run straight through you. He can cut around you. He can spin around you. And the best part is, and I watched every Alabama game. I went to Alabama. Like I said before, he learned from his year before that he went from being a guy who just ran through the first hole he saw to a very patient, almost Le'Veon Bell-esque running back last year. And he was finding the hole, not just any hole. He was finding the hole. Wow, he was finding.
Too late. You already said it.
He was finding
it's
a hole every time, and he just exploded right through it.
Yeah, I don't want to keep talking about him too much, but that's probably the hardest thing for a running back going into the NFL, especially. And it's the best attribute to have is that vision and that patience, and he absolutely has it. So, move on to the next guy, the 1B that other people are calling him, but I don't. Nope, he's 2. I think we all agree he's 2. Travis Etienne. I'll start off on this one. I'm going with your prediction, Alex, for Harris, but with Etienne instead. To the Steelers, I think the way the draft just plays out, I think the Steelers, Joey has Mac Jones going to the Steelers, but I think the Steelers have to take a running back. I don't think it's possible. They were the worst rushing team in the NFL last year. The Steelers fans across the board are demanding a running back. They need a running back. They can't walk away from this draft without somebody who can really become a bell cow for them. And I think ETN might not be the between-the-tackle guys you expect from the Steelers specifically, but I would love to see him there. He's a all-around back. He's not as good as Harris, in my opinion. Like I said, I think he's a clear 2, but I think he is a true all-around back. He gets hyped up as this pass-catching back, but I think he can do everything. So you put him on the Steelers, they have a featured back, and that would be the ideal scenario for him, because my only fear for him from a fantasy perspective is that he does go to a team that kind of uses him as a secondary, right? Like, I don't think the Titans would take him, but let's just say like he went to the Titans or somewhere like that where they have a clear first and second down back and he just becomes that third down back because that's where they want to put him, right? If he goes to the Steelers, he'll actually be a 3-down back, and in that case, he would be extremely fantasy relevant right out the gate. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like Travis Etienne that much, to be honest. If I'm
Not at
being,
all? Really?
He's just such an upright runner. He's not like Najee Harris is a bowling ball. Travis Etienne just seems like somebody easy to get tackled. But like the Steelers went with Le'Veon Bell, James Conner was the same upright runner like that. So, I mean, dude, this is gonna maybe make you mad, but I really just see Kerryon Johnson when I look at Travis Etienne, and there's a reason Kerryon Johnson can't break up frickin' tackles because he's like upright, like a plank, basically.
I don't think I see that. Alex, go ahead.
I mean, I'm with Joey. I mean, maybe not as much hate on Etienne, but I agree with him. And when I watched the Etienne highlights, he's just so upright when he runs. And Joey used the perfect word. He's upright when he runs. I put down in my notes that he doesn't pass, and you don't have to take this it doesn't have to mean anything to you, but it doesn't pass my eye test when I'm looking for a guy that I want to draft. I don't like the way he runs, and that's just me. Now, where do I want to see Etienne land? I want to see him land on the Dolphins. That's not where I think he'll land. I think he'll end up landing probably with the Bills at the late first round, 30th pick.
Bro, that's what I think too.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Okay, we're on the
We
same
have
page.
the
on this
same
one.
picks for everything.
I know, this is great, bro.
Bro, yeah.
You guys are fucking losers. Good. I hope he ends up on the. No, I don't hope he ends up on the Bills. I would not like that for him from a fantasy perspective. I think you guys are wrong. I think he will be a very good back in the NFL. I think he has the pass catching ability, but also between the tackles. Not comparing him to Kamara, but I think he has that type of dual threat ability. So we'll see where he ends up. Again,
We shall see.
Board. We shall see, shan't we? But yeah, he will drop on my board significantly if he's drafted to a team to be in that specific third down back role. But if somebody drafts him who needs an every down role, like I would not like to see him on the Cardinals. That's the one I want to highlight. I don't want to see him on the Cardinals because the Cardinals don't do a good job of using a pass catching running back, and they have other running backs there that could potentially fight for that spot. So I really don't want to see that happen. But the Steelers, if he's on the Steelers, he's going to be fantasy relevant. I guarantee it. And Joey, you'll learn to love him as a Steelers fan.
I never liked the Steelers running back, so don't worry. I always hated James Conner.
Good. Well, yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
Joe, wrap up the running backs here.
Javonte, is that who we're going to?
We're going Javonte.
I don't hate him. I like him, actually. Like, for as fast and as short as he is, he's, like, still pretty thick. Like, he's got to be, like, 210 to 215. So I like him a lot, honestly. I like him more than ETN, and he wasn't on, like, a... Yeah, he was with a good quarterback. Like, Sam Howell's a good quarterback for UNC, but I just think that Javonte just wowed me when I watched him play. He's so fast. He's just very quick. He's, like, very LaShawn McCoy-y. So I think, I mean, it's tough because I want to say that I think the Bills are going to go with ETN. I'd love to see Javonte Williams on the Bills. I think he would be the better than ETN on the Bills, but I think both would be good. So just for sake of saying where I think he's going to end up landing, I'm going to say Miami.
Miami. Okay, that's the one to Miami then. Alex?
I'm with Joey, too, as far as Javonte being better than ETN. I mean, this is, again, just an eye test thing. I liked watching Williams earlier today. He split a lot of carries, so he could have had an even better season, but he put up really good numbers with the carries that he did get. And he passes the ball. I mean, he catches the ball out of the backfield, too. So he does it all. I like the way he runs. I think that he's also a very patient running back like Harris is. Maybe not as well-tuned like that. But I don't know. I think Javonte Williams ends up, and this is where I want him to end up, in the second round with the Jets.
Ooh, interesting. All right.
That would be good.
So I actually would like to see that. I put down that's exactly what I want to see, is because he's another one, right? He is a guy who is not hyped enough as much as Najee Harris to be this guaranteed feature back on whatever team he goes on. He could end up on a team that is looking for depth pieces like the Bills, which is where I expect he'll end up. I'm predicting that he lands on the Bills, which I would not love from a fantasy perspective, Joey. I would love from a football perspective for him. I think he would be extremely successful there. But just the Bills and their idiocracy of using the merry-go-round of running backs
I think
last
it's more on the running backs than it is.
I don't know. I think Singletary was better and had to take turns with Zach. I don't know. We'll see. Singletary's been hyped. Zach Moss has been hyped. They're both healthy going into next year. All three could just be used too much, too little. I have no idea, but that's why I don't like it, is because I have no idea. On the Jets, he'd be the guy. I know Tevin Coleman's there, but he would be the guy. Right, and then I would really, really love him with Zach Wilson going forward, the two of them together. That would be ideal to me from a fantasy perspective. I don't think, like you guys do, that he's clearly ahead of ETN. I think ETN's ahead, but I will say it's 2A and 2B for me. So I do think they're nowhere near Harris, but once you get to the two of them, it's 2A and 2B. I have Javonte as my 2B when comparing the two of them.
I agree with that ranking, 2A, 2B for them. Nowhere near Harris.
Just reversed. Fair enough. All right, let's get into the receivers then. Number one.
Jamar.
Number one?
You got to go Jamar Chase. I'm not even going to hear anything else.
Jamar
Chase is the best wide receiver in this draft. You're overthinking it. He sat out. I'm telling you, his just all around everything is amazing. I think he's going to go number 4 to the Falcons.
I think he'll go first out of the 3. But I don't think he's the best of the 3. And it's probably different than what Marco thinks.
Don't even say who you think is the best.
I think Jalen Waddle is the best of the 3.
I said don't say it.
100%. 100%. Jalen Waddle is the best route runner out of the 3. And he is super quick, and he makes all the right runs, and the routes are just crisp and perfect. Yes, they are. Go watch them.
No,
go watch them.
I did. Listen.
All right, we'll come back to this podcast. We're going to go watch something. We're going to go learn about this guy.
Go watch it. Jalen Waddle will be the best wide receiver of these 3.
We're talking about Jamar Chase. We'll get to Jalen Waddle.
We'll get to the 3. Yeah. So it's interesting. I will say for a second, the 3 wide receivers we're going to talk about are Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, and Devontae Smith. Right? I love Jamar Chase, and I'm in a 1A, 1B situation where I'm going back and forth. But I'm the opposite of both. I'm the third option for both of you guys. I cannot get over how incredible Devontae Smith is. I'm sorry.
I agree.
If he was not,
I'm not
if he
worried
didn't
about
weigh,
the size.
if he didn't weigh 166, I think there would be a much bigger debate. Right. Like, I think it would be a much bigger debate if he weighed the same as Jamar Chase. Don't change anything. Don't change speed, strength, anything. Just looked and weighed the same as Jamar Chase. Then I think the argument would be a lot more of a debate between these two guys. I don't know how you're putting Waddle in there, Alex. I like Waddle. Don't get
Waddle
me wrong.
was the best receiver on that team before he got hurt.
Yeah, but then
they played together.
Smith broke out. But then
Devontae Smith
broke out.
If you injure Devontae Smith and have Waddle be the lead receiver for the entire season, Waddle would have the same season that Smith did.
Nope. Disagree.
Yes. 100%.
Listen, I watched film of both. I'm watching them both over and over. I've watched both of these guys, and I love them both. Don't get me wrong. But Waddle, he gets the Tyreek comp, which I understand. He's definitely a Tyreek-esque player. But I don't see anywhere near. Okay, I don't see anywhere near the same level of Tyreek. I just don't see it. It's not close to me. He's a great Tyreek-esque player, but I don't see him anywhere near Tyreek. Devontae Smith is just mind-blowing how quick he is, how beautiful of the catches, spectacular catches, everything. But we're talking Jamar Chase, so we'll go.
I think it's okay to talk all three together. We're comparing them. It's fine.
Fair enough.
My point is
I'm good with it for all three wide receivers.
Yeah, it's just we'll pick where we say all three are going to land, but it's good to compare them because they are super close. They're all top 14 picks. Nope. That's So, but the thing for me is
super close.
A lot of Waddle gets a lot of the Tyreek comparison, like you said. But the things that Waddle lacks in the form of Tyreek is maybe not being as fast as him. He makes up for as a better route runner, as a guy who can do it all. He makes the big plays. He does everything.
He's not as fast, and he doesn't make the type of catches that Tyreek makes.
Don't get me wrong because I will argue that Waddle is the number one. But for me, it's literally 1A, 1B, 1C. There is no 2, 3. These guys are all neck and neck. Devontae Smith is probably the next one for me as 1B. I think Jamar Chase is 1C. But that's an argument for another time. I think that Waddle
Why
comes
is it
out.
not an argument for right now? We're talking about ranking
while we're
three
arguing these three receivers.
Yeah, we'll come back to this.
Let's not argue.
This 1-1-1 argument.
Well, you know what I mean.
I mean, like, you don't want to get into it because
I don't want to
get
into it.
Down.
So,
no, you're not going to shut me down.
So here's the thing, Alex. I think your perspective and ranking of these three players is going to change based on the draft, and it might stay the same.
Yeah, maybe.
What I'm saying is, it might stay the same based on the draft, but it's going to depend on the draft. For me, it doesn't. For me, Chase and Smith might depend on the draft. Whoever is first and second. But Waddle is third. It doesn't matter where these two end up versus him. He's third for me, and I like Waddle a lot. I really do. But I actually was getting mad at the Tyreek comps when I was watching him over and over and going through. I just don't see it. I see that he's the same type of player. I get that. If you want to say, hey, he's a short, shifty player who really has burst with yards after the catch type player, amazing, and can get deep.
He's a beast,
short,
bro. He's
short
a beast.
routes, all these things. I get it. I get that he could do the same things, but not to the same extent. And maybe he'll grow to do that. But dude, you put Tyreek film next to him, and Tyreek, you look at it and you go, holy fuck, how is this guy running like this? Waddle, you're just like, that's pretty fast.
No, that's not true because Tyreek's routes.
I don't see it.
Tyreek's routes are more just literally. I mean, he does a couple cuts here and here. There's double moves sometimes, but a lot of them are just straight down the field, run as fast as
No,
he
he
can.
does it all.
No, he does it all. I just said he does moves like that. He does double moves and stuff. But Waddle does it every time. Waddle does them more crisp, and Waddle does them better. I'm telling you, Waddle is the more complete receiver as a wide receiver. Tyreek is a gadget guy who's actually really good at being a wide receiver.
Fair enough, Alex. But the problem is, Waddle still, whether he's a more complete wide receiver than Tyreek, he still falls into the same gadget type as Tyreek. So if you're going to be a gadget type, then be the best fucking gadget type. Like, that's what Tyreek is.
You know what's funny to me, though?
I agree, Joey. I agree.
You know what's funny?
I think that we're
100%,
calling Tyreek a gadget guy, dude. Like 1,400 yards a year.
He has the build of a gadget guy.
You know what I mean, Joey. I don't mean he's a gadget type. I'm just saying that's
like
the
a
type
James
of player.
Bond
if you were going to
gadget.
describe what?
It's like the grapple hook. It's like the most important one. Then we're gonna give him. He's not just a gadget.
Would James Bond's most important gadget be the grapple hook? I don't think that's.
Well, at least in Nightfire. I mean, like
that's
you
true.
couldn't do
Nightfire on the
anything if you
GameCube?
didn't. Yeah, if you didn't
Yep.
have that grapple
That's true.
hook steady,
All right,
you were fucked.
everybody listening to the show, just replay Nightfire on GameCube. You're gonna lose against your friends unless you use a grapple hook. So he is a very
Ravine,
valid
you need
point.
it. You need it for Ravine.
Go ahead, Alex. You were talking fancy.
Yeah, you want to know? I've been saying you want to know what's funny to me. What's funny to me is that Joey finds Mac Jones to be this late round first quarterback who's going to sit behind Ben Roethlisberger, but he still picks Chase, who had the best quarterback in college football of all time almost, and then also had Justin Jefferson taking a shit ton of pressure off of him, but won't pick Smith, who dominated by himself when Waddle was hurt, or won't pick Waddle, who played with Mac Jones. Both of them play with Mac Jones, and you don't like Mac Jones.
Are we just
Burrow
like
was the best
talking
quarterback
about,
of
like,
all time.
The distributive property, like this is just it's Jamar
It's a good
Chase is
point.
the best
It's
wide
just math.
receiver of the three. I don't care about the quarterbacks and changing them and this and that. Jamar Chase had the best quarterback to play with. He had great stats under Joe Burrow, and he sat out a year because he's. You know what? He's smart
He's a
enough to
bitch.
realize that I am going. It's cool to play college. It's cool to ball out like that. But you're not doing it
Gave
for
up on
anything
his
other than
team.
money. So sit out and get your money. Like, don't hurt
Can I
yourself.
ask, Joe? Can I ask a question? What is it about Chase? And don't get me wrong. Again, I love Chase. He is generational talent type wide receiver.
Absolutely.
What is it about him that puts him clearly ahead of Devontae Smith for you?
Route running. He can do it from the slot, and he can catch deep passes. He's got an extremely strong
Devontae Smith
lower
doesn't?
body. Yeah, Devontae Smith doesn't have that extremely strong lower body, and Devontae Smith cannot handle the slot in the same way. The route running, the tightness, the quickness, the explosiveness off the one cut. Oh, come
Totally
on.
disagree.
Off the line, Jamar Chase is insane. He sat out a season. If he played last season, I don't think this would be as much of a debate as you think it is. There
I
were
just
times
disagree
where
about
Devontae
what
and
Smith
Jalen
can
Waddle
do.
went hiding on screen.
I just disagree about what Smith can do. I think he can do all those things. And again, you watch him over and over, and he does a little bit of everything, and everything is phenomenal. It's not like he does good things here and there. Everything he does is quick, super fast, spectacular catches, yards after the catch. He's incredible to watch. It's a clear eye test of, wow, this guy is something special. And Jamar Chase is the same. Don't get me wrong. I'm not debating against Jamar Chase. I'm just saying I think the Smith hate has gone too far just because of his size. It drives me insane. It's literally just a number. The number doesn't fucking matter because the NFL doesn't let people touch wide receivers anymore.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was going to say too. It's just like that
It
size.
does not
it mattered
matter.
maybe 5 years ago, but like the way the
Exactly.
rules are now, it does
They're not allowed to be hit. It does not matter. And he got hit plenty in college, and he was perfectly fine. So I don't understand why everybody's so concerned that all of a sudden, apparently, Ray Lewis is going to come out of retirement and fuck up Devontae Smith.
Murder
it's not
him.
Going
He's
to
gonna
happen.
murder him.
Like, exactly. Or who is it that always was fucking targeting like Antonio Brown from the Bengals?
Chancellor.
Vontez Perfect.
Vontez Perfect, yeah. Like, Vontez Perfect going to come out and just
Yeah.
destroy him. Like, it doesn't happen anymore. It's not allowed.
Yeah.
So, he's going to be fine. It doesn't matter. And it just, to me, it's truly going to be, they're both so talented. Which team do they end up on? Who has the better situation? That's what it's going to be. Which
I would
let's
love
get
to
that.
do a 4-year bet right now, just fantasy points between
Last time we did a
Devontae
4-year
Smith.
bet was Terry McLaurin. You got fucked up on that one. So let's.
We got a year to go, dude. He's got high draft capital. If he gets traded before
You think
2020
he's still going to be
or
gone?
2022, I'm good.
All right, let's get into where we think these guys are going to land because it is so important for all of us, right? So, Jamar Chase, start there. Joey, you're the
Falcons.
biggest Jamar Chase fan. Falcons. You think 4th overall, Falcons?
Yeah, I think you trade
that mean
Julio and
Julio's-
you take him
Julio's gone?
4th. Yeah, Julio's gone. We're not going quarterback this year.
No Kyle Pitts. They're going Jamar Chase instead.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and that's where you want him to go, obviously.
I mean, he'll be fine wherever he goes.
It doesn't
I honestly,
matter.
if I want, what do I want him to go? I want him to go to maybe the Eagles.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but I think
right.
he'll go to the Falcons.
Alex, where do you think Jamar Chase is going to go?
Dolphins. Where do I want him? I want him. I'm probably with Joey. I want him in the Eagles, but Dolphins. Yep.
So I'm with you, Alex. I went Dolphins too. So going back to me predicting 2 Dolphins skills players, you were saying I'm not going to predict a running back and a wide receiver. I think they do that because, listen, this is the year. Either Tua's your guy or he's not. You set him up as best as you possibly can. You give him a feature back. You give him an elite wide receiver. You give him Devontae Parker as now his second receiver. Gesicki as a tight end. And great O-line. And if he can't do it this year, he's done. And now you know that. But I think you give him every single or you get rid of any possible excuse so that we know for sure where he's going to be. So I do think they go both. If it's not Jamar Chase because he goes too soon, I think they end up taking somebody else anyway. But they go with receiver here, and I think it'll be Jamar Chase. I would like to see him on the Lions. I really would like to see him. I think he's going to, like you said, Joey, he's going to be successful no matter where he goes. But I think the Lions would be an amazing spot for him because it doesn't matter that he'll have all of the defense's attention. Because that's the only downfall of the Lions from a fantasy perspective, right? From a fantasy perspective.
Jared Goff and the O-line and the
there we go. I was
going to
say. I knew you were going to say. I knew you were going to say that because a lot of people are thinking that.
There's a lot of negatives to the Lions.
Nope, not from a fantasy perspective. So a lot of people are going to think
Dan
Jared Goff,
Campbell. Is it Dan? Who's their coach?
Dan Campbell, he sucks.
Listen, a lot of people are going to think.
Dan.
Let me talk. A lot of people are going to think Jared Goff. I don't want him to be there, but. How did Robert Woods do the past few years? How did Cooper Kupp do the past few years? Jared Goff is a good enough QB to provide fantasy relevance for his wide receiver. Jamar Chase is
Sean
way
McVay
better.
With Sean
Jamar
McVay
Chase
is
is a way better wide receiver than what those two wide receivers are. And the Lions' defense is the worst in the NFL. They gave up the most points in the NFL last year, and that is the best possible thing you can have for a receiver. If they're trailing nonstop, Goff is going to be passing nonstop. If he's passing nonstop, the only option is Jamar Chase. He's going to have 150 targets. If Jamar Chase has 150 targets, I don't give a shit who's throwing to him. He's going to go absolutely off. So
he's not getting 150 targets.
We just spent a lot of time on you trying to argue that the Lions would be the best spot for anybody.
He's not
the Lions isn't the best spot for anyone. No matter what you say about garbage time.
Go back. The Lions
at most, it's 20th best.
The Lions would be a very good spot for anyone who can take defense's attention and still be successful, which means you have to be elite like Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase is absolutely good enough that it doesn't matter that the defenses are focusing on him.
Maybe in 3-4
For those listening to the podcast, my eyebrows are going from upraised to down angry. I have
you
a
need
lot
to be on
of
the
emotion
YouTube. You need to watch us on YouTube.
Yeah,
so
you got to watch
see
the YouTube
Joey's eyes go up and down. But we'll
okay, I get it. You think the Lions are a great landing spot. All right, I believe you. Alex, where do you have Jamar?
I have him Miami. We said Dolphins. I have him Dolphins.
You have him to Miami. You just made us listen to you talk about the Lions for 4 straight minutes.
We're talking two things here. Where do we expect and where would we prefer?
I would have loved to hear more on the Miami than the Lions side.
We already talked about that. I said that the Dolphins are going to set up Tua, and he's going to be phenomenal. Jamar Chase is going to be phenomenal no matter where he goes. All right, next one we'll go into the 1B, not Alex's made up one. Devontae Smith. I'll start because I have Devontae the highest here.
I think he'd be greater than the Lions.
I hate you so much. He actually would be phenomenal live. I love it. So,
repeat Kenny Galladay.
I'm predicting that he ends up, and this is not from a fantasy perspective, but from a fan perspective. I'm predicting he ends up as a New York
Giants.
Giant. I would absolutely love it. I would love it so much. The Giants, listen, the same thing I said with Tua and the Dolphins. Daniel Jones and the Giants are in the same exact boat. You need to give, and they're doing it, right? They went and got Kenny Galladay. But you need to give Daniel Jones every single weapon you can and take away any possible excuse. And then this is the year. And I'm a Daniel Jones believer, but if he doesn't pull it together this year, he's obviously done, right? I mean, if he doesn't pull it together halfway through this year, he should be done if there was a viable backup. So you give him Devontae Smith paired with Kenny Galladay, paired with Shep in the slot, Evan Ingram at tight end who can't catch, so it doesn't matter, and Saquon Barkley coming out of the backfield. It's arguably the best group of weapons on any team in the NFL. Arguably, it might not be, but it definitely is arguable at that point. And it would be amazing to see. I would love it. So I expect that they will go wide receiver. And if Devontae Smith is still on the board, I think it'll be him. But from a fantasy perspective, I would love to see him fall a little bit more and go to the Chargers. If he paired with Justin Herbert on that team. Keenan Allen's getting older. Mike Williams is not the guy that everybody thought he would be. If he went to the Chargers and became that heir apparent to Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert and him for the next 10 years, I would love to see that.
I'm starting to think that you're copying my notes or something, because that's pretty much exactly what I had. Is I want to, like you said, exactly as a fan perspective, but just as an NFL perspective too. I'd love to see Devonta land on the Giants. I think even as bad as Daniel Jones has been, with Kenny Galladay across from him and Saquon Barkley coming out of the backfield, I mean, Devonta's going to have open lanes all day long, and we know what he can do with open lanes. Where I'd like to see him from a fantasy perspective, like you said, would be the Chargers. I mean, him and Justin Herbert, if we're talking dynasty especially, him and Justin Herbert for the next 10 years, that's a money duo, and they're going to build around that.
Stack so, I would want on every single team.
100% want that stack anywhere I can get it. So, yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking the Chargers. Honestly, I have Devontae Smith behind Jalen Waddle, so I wanted him to the Eagles, Jalen Waddle the Giants. But I mean, honestly, if I don't think the Giants or Eagles will pass up on one of those two wide receivers if they're on the board, so I don't think it's really much of a chance he falls to the Chargers. So I'll say Devontae Smith to the Eagles, Jalen Waddle to the Giants. 11-12.
Okay, all right, that brings us into Jalen Waddle then.
Yeah, so if we're going into Jalen Waddle here.
You're locking in on the Giants. Alex, where do you have him?
Well, I mean, this all depends. This is probably going to be wrong, but I have Jamar Chase going to the Dolphins, which means he falls off the board before the Lions pick, and that's where I have Waddle going. It's to the Lions. Like Marco said, I mean, I don't fully agree with him with Dan Campbell as coach and Goff being the quarterback.
Guy's a terrible coach after 0 games. All right,
he just talks like an idiot, but he's gonna succeed there, I would think. Where I want to see Waddle is 100% in Philly. I think I said the same thing for Chase, but even more so for Waddle. I want to see him in Philly. From a fantasy perspective, because I hate the Eagles. But I want to see him in Philly because Hurts even came out and they asked him who the best Alabama wide receiver he played with was, and he said Waddle, and he played with Judy, and he played with Smith, and he played with all these guys. So he went with Waddle, and him and Waddle had a great connection at Alabama. So that would be a perfect pairing, and we all know the Eagles need a wide receiver too, so it would be great.
Yeah, so I have the same prediction. I think he goes to the Lions. I think 99% of mocks out there have him going to the Lions. I think that's where it just makes sense. And I think he'll be good there. I don't think he'll be as good. And let me say, I just hyped up reasons why I like Chase for the Lions, all that stuff, and I think they apply. But I don't think Waddle is going to be able to make the same contested catches. I don't think he's going to be able to be that all-around receiver like Chase can be, where the defenses can focus on him and he'll still beat them regardless. I think he needs space, and I love him. He's amazing, but he needs a complement of receivers around him, which is why, as much as I like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, and that makes sense, again, it doesn't make sense from that perspective. He doesn't have that complement of team of receivers around him to take attention off of him. So the place that I would love to see him from a fan perspective go for, and I'd be happy as a fan too, is the New York Giants. You put him in here, and he pairs perfectly with Kenny Galladay and Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's a match made in heaven. Again, I like Devontae Smith more, so I would rather him, but I'm not going to be upset whatsoever if it's Waddle. Yeah, exactly, Joey. Quick reads. You have all these options now. You have every type, right?
Those prototypical
types of receivers. Right. He's got everything he needs, every type of receiver.
I feel like if you give me Jalen Waddle and Kenny Galladay and Saquon Barkley, I could do something.
Exactly. So, and I think from Waddle's perspective, in terms of finding success in the NFL and finding success as a fantasy player, it's perfect. You have Galladay taking attention. You have Saquon taking attention. It doesn't matter if he's electric. They cannot give him the respect he deserves. It doesn't matter. Defenses will not be able to double him. Defenses will not be able to make sure he's not burning them over the top. They will not be able to make sure that they're on top of him, providing double but preventing the short underneath route. So he's going to get the ball in his hands, and once he has the ball in his hands, then he is absolutely electric, and he's going to make magic with it. So I would love to see him end up on the Giants there. All right,
totally agree.
You guys agree? All right, then let's move on. Last player, the GOAT himself,
the
final position to talk about.
My fucking guy.
best player, and I'm not sure I disagree with it, Kyle Pitts.
You want to know something crazy? Guess where he went to high school? Do you guess where he went to high school?
Archbishop
Wood. Crazy. Where your brothers went.
I live 5 minutes from there. Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
One of our brothers went to the same high school many years ago, but yeah, I live 5 minutes from there. So basically, me and Kyle Pitts are basically brothers at this point. So
Kyle Balsamo.
Doesn't sound the same.
The same thing.
But no, Pitts is generational, dude. Pitts is gonna be. I have in my notes before we're talking about where he's gonna land in the draft. I don't give a fuck where he lands in the draft. He's gonna be a top 5 tight end this year. This year he's gonna be a top 5 tight end.
I don't disagree.
And moving forward, he's probably gonna be number 1. I mean, Kelsey's getting up there in age. Kittle's a little bit younger, so he'll probably be top 2, 3 in the next 2-3 years. I really, really believe it.
Where's he landing?
He's landing on the Falcons, but I want him to land on
How
the
many
Cowboys.
people did you guess to the Falcons?
I feel like he picked everybody to the Falcons.
Yeah.
I haven't guessed a
You're
single person.
guaranteeing
to the
yourself a
Falcons.
loss because you're not.
You guys
got
gotta your
everybody
focus.
Falcons,
Your
for
guys'
sure.
focus is terrible because I haven't said a
100%.
single player to the Falcons.
Maybe not maybe memory. Not
You
focus.
I only
literally
said
Justin
Fields.
I just don't remember. Yeah. Oh, so you said 0 people, but you did say 1 person. That's what
I said
how's that
Fields
work?
is where I said I would want him to go to the Falcons. I said Pitts
He's
will
insane.
go to the Falcons.
He's insane. Like Kyle Pitts is insane. I could not imagine putting all that draft capital in a tight end. I'm not going to take him over those top 3 running backs, those top 3 wide receivers. I mean, in a super flex, I would still take him over the quarterback.
You're not going to take him over the top 3 running backs?
No.
Oh, you're talking about You're talking about
For
fantasy.
dynasty purposes,
Okay.
yeah. I'm just not going to invest all that in a tight end as much. I mean, unless I'm in like a real tight end premium, maybe in like one league or 2 tight ends, I would consider doing it. But
We got a couple
just
of
a
those.
lot to put into a tight end. So I mean, he's insane. He's absolutely generational, insane. I'm very confused on what to do with him. I don't think I'll own him because I don't think I'll put enough draft capital into him.
Real quick, I would love to see him land. Sorry, Marco. I'd love to see him land on the Cowboys. That's where I want to see him land.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if I'd love
pretty
that.
fun.
Joe, what I'll say from a dynasty perspective, real quick, is typically I agree with you. Like typically I'd be like, how could you possibly pick a tight end before an elite rookie running back? But you go back. Let's just say we go back, and you say, hey, you could have Kelsey coming out of college, or you could have any fucking running back. It doesn't matter. Kelsey would be a better person to draft.
100%.
He would you wouldn't have to worry about that position for the next 10 years. He would give you an advantage, and you could build running backs with other running backs because they go through quicker. So if we really believe Kyle Pitts is better than Kelsey and he will be what Kelsey is, then theoretically it makes sense that he should be that high. I mean, other than a superflex league where QBs are going ahead of him, of course, because that's what you need to do. He should be going ahead of the running backs. He should be going ahead of the wide receivers if you're 100% sold that he's going to be Kelsey.
I mean, you have 2-3 good. You have at least 2 to 3 good running backs, 2 to 3 good wide receivers coming out of the draft every single year. So like you don't have 2 3 good tight ends coming out every year. That's for sure.
You don't have a Kelsey every year.
We haven't seen a
that's it.
Kelsey come out since Kelsey. Like that's the thing. Besides Kittle maybe, but no one thought Kittle would be that. He was like a 4th round pick. I mean, tight ends are just such a dime a dozen right now. Or not? Is that the wrong? That's the wrong phrasing. Isn't
No,
it?
that's right. That's the phrase.
Is that the right phrasing?
You're good.
Tight ends
Yeah.
are such a dime a dozen. You can't find them
It
anywhere.
means like there's a...
Dude,
Oh, then it's the wrong phrase. Dime a dozen
it's
means
okay.
you can find them everywhere.
yeah, it applies.
Nobody,
but it's not-
nobody cares. So it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
everyone's
Nobody
already
cares.
logged off at this
Nobody-
point.
Nobody's even listening to us. This is our first episode.
It's just Tom. He's our only fan. Tom's our only fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just you have to go Pitts pretty damn early if you want him, especially. People
gonna
are
be
gonna
hard
all
to get
over
him.
Yeah. And you know what, too? He's like a good blocker. Like, he'll be out there for sure. Like, he's not a great blocker, but he's a good enough blocker. Like, I mean, Kelsey's not an absurd blocker like Kittle is, and he's fine. Like, he'll be fine.
The beauty is, you might have to spend a lot from a fantasy perspective to get him, but so does whatever fucking NFL team is taking him. So, like, they're going to have to spend a
true.
shit ton to get him, so he's going to be out there. Nobody's spending a top 10 pick on a tight end saying, you know, tight ends take 3 years before they really get it. Like,
No
that's
safer
not,
tight end since Ebron.
Great comparison. Joe, where'd you? So Alex said Falcons. Where'd you say he's going?
Chargers 13. I think that he's going to go
Chargers.
13.
I would love that.
I don't think he's
would
dropping to
love
13.
I think
don't
he
think he
will,
does
just
10.
because it's a
He
weird
could.
position and the blocking is very important. And I think a lot of teams might just cancel him. Not that his blocking is bad, but a lot of teams like the Bengals, they go for that blocking tight end more than they go for a pass catcher.
Man, I'm so fucking excited to watch Kyle Pitts. It's probably the guy I'm excited about in this draft.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of them.
so
There's a lot of them.
He's gonna be great. Like I don't think he'll ever be bad. Like I don't think there's gonna be like his floor is Noah Fant, and that's pretty fucking high.
And like I said, I think he's gonna be top 5 tight end this year. Like
I have him. I'm locking in Kyle Pitts to the Panthers. I think that's what it ends up being.
That's pretty good.
You
They use
get
two tight end
I can see
too.
that.
Exactly. The Panthers get on the clock. They didn't invest a lot in Sam Darnold, but they did invest in Sam Darnold. They went and got him. I think you go get him because you believe that he's somebody you can actually build around, or at least give a couple years to try. You have CMC. You have DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. It's the one position you're missing. Again, same story with Tua, same story with DJ, right? Set these guys up, give them every weapon they possibly can. Kyle Pitts is that type of weapon where, like, I mean, if you have CMC and Kyle Pitts, what the fuck are linebackers, safeties supposed to, like, how are they supposed to cover these guys coming out of the backfield? I have no idea.
It's interesting, though. None of us said any wide receivers to the Panthers. And who the fuck do the Panthers have a wide receiver besides Robbie Anderson?
DJ Moore.
Curtis Samuel's gone. Oh, wow. I just had a big...
Yeah. DJ Moore.
DJ Moore.
So I'm saying Panthers. I lock it in Panthers. The other place that I would like to see him, I think I prefer the Panthers, but just picking a second place that I would really like to see is the Bengals. I mean, I don't think the Bengals take him. I think same thing you said, Joe. I think the Bengals are going. There's a lot of talk about Bengals taking Jamar Chase. I don't think that happens.
They're going.
I think they go
O-line.
O-line. Exactly.
Or Penny Sewell.
They can't. Penny Sewell. They can't not take him. They have to go O-line. You can't have your featured. It doesn't matter.
Joe Burrow.
You can't have your feature. It doesn't matter. You tell him to shut the fuck up. He is a second-year QB.
I don't think Joe Burrow's going to make that kind of ballsy
That's what I'm
decision.
saying. It doesn't matter. He has. I think he has stepped up and said, take Jamar Chase. And I think if I was the Bengals office, I'd say, go fuck yourself. I don't care. You just tore your ACL last year. I'm getting you an O lineman to make sure that you don't die. Like, it doesn't matter. And there's people making the argument that you get a receiver, it spreads the field more. No, it doesn't. It does, but not to the extent that it protects the QB.
like you get a
Please
cornerback
get the
blitz
fuck
out of
here.
there, which is not what we're worried about.
It's not how it works. You spread the field, sure, but it's not going to stop him from getting destroyed from an edge rusher. Like, they need an O lineman, and that's what they have to take. I'd be shocked if they take anything else. But all that being said, if they did go skill player, as much as Jamar Chase makes sense, I think Kyle Pitts is the bigger hole. They have Tyler Boyd. They have T. Higgins. They don't need another receiver. Kyle Pitts could fill that tight end hole, give him a safety blanket, which is what he needs. I think that would be a perfect
Yo, why are you
fit.
sleeping on Drew Sample?
I forgot about Drew Sample. Go back and see
breakout year
Alex's
for Drew
Instagram
Sample.
post.
We forgot
Alex's
about
Instagram
that.
post last year.
I was
Drew Sample,
almost right about that. I was
tight
really
end 1
close.
overall, 2029.
I was really close on
I
the Drew
was
Sample
so good with my Instagram predictions. David
were.
Montgomery,
Go back and read
Calvin
them.
over Julio. Oh my God, some good ones
All right.
in there.
Well, that's it. We're
That wraps
done.
her up.
Those are our
Welcome
12.
back,
Wrap it up.
guys. That was the
Welcome back.
Feels good.
season 2, episode 1. We're gonna be better than True Detective season 2.
Remember, we are going live in some way, shape, or form. We haven't decided yet as of this recording. We'll post it on Instagram. But we're going live tonight during the draft. We're going to be drinking and enjoying the draft and giving our 2 cents as fantasy-relevant players get drafted. We're not going to talk defense that much because who gives a shit? It's fantasy. But
I'm excited
join
about
us.
defense.
Nah, I'm just kidding. We'll talk defense, too. Join us. Enjoy it. Let us know what you think the punishment should be. Joey, sign us off. What do we got for the team here?
Red lights, stop signs. I still see your face in the white cars, front yards. Can't drive past
No
the
way.
places we used to go to. 'Cause I still fucking love you,
love you,
baby.
What is happening?
I thought we always
didn't
were going to
join
sing,
in.
but that's fine.
Goodbye, everyone.
No one's
All
here
right.
anymore.
Bye.